Congressman Josh Gottheimer went to two of the schools, Penn and Harvard, and is one of dozens of Jewish members in the House. I spoke to him earlier. Congressman Gottheimer, thanks for being with us. I'm wondering, what was your reaction to what these universities, when you heard these university presidents saying this, and what they said and what they declined to say in that House hearing, and now how they've been trying to clean it up. What do you make of it?
I mean, I literally had to watch it multiple times because my jaw was on the ground. I couldn't believe they were actually saying that calling for the genocide of Jews did not violate their code of conduct and trigger bullying and harassment issues on their campus. So, frankly, I think the level of outrage across the country, is making them try to rewrite what they said. But the bottom line is they were saying unless there was actually conduct, unless a Jewish student was killed, it didn't violate their code of conduct and bullying and harassment unless it was actual conduct. I think we're all in the same place on this, and everyone you heard ask questions of those presidents in shock.
The Harvard president told the school's Crimson newspaper, quote, "I am sorry, words matter. When words amplify distress and pain, I don't know how you could feel anything but regret." The University of Pennsylvania president, I'm not sure she directly apologized. She said, "In that moment, I was focused on our university's longstanding policies aligned with the U.S. Constitution, which say that speech alone is not punishable." She also went on to say, "I was not focused, but I should have been, on the irrefutable fact that a call for genocide for Jewish people is a call for some of the most terrible violence human beings can perpetrate. It's evil, plain and simple." Do you think they've gone far enough? Do you think they should step down?
I certainly think the three of them should step aside. Imagine being a parent of a student on that campus who, and I don't ever want any student, I don't care if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, I don't want anyone to be afraid to go to class, to be who they are, regardless of their background. And to me, I don't know if you're a Jewish student right now on those campuses, or frankly on a lot of campuses in our country, you're not just afraid. And that's when people are screaming death to Jews or dirty little Jew or other things that I've heard from a lot of my constituency students of what it feels like now to be on this campus, where they literally don't want to go to class. They can't wear a head covering, a yarmulke, right? They just can't be who they are. And I never want that. You have a freedom of speech, which I believe in strongly as a member of Congress, but you do also have a freedom from fear, and no one should be afraid.
We mentioned this newly launched House Education and Workforce Committee investigation to Harvard, MIT, and UPenn. I know you're not on that committee. Do you have a sense of what those lawmakers actually would be investigating, what kind of leverage they would have over private colleges?
Each of these colleges receives a large amount of federal funding, research funding, and other resources, and if they're in violation of Title VI, I think the Department of Education needs to investigate as well. They can lose their funding. The government should not encourage environments that literally put students in fear, again, regardless of background. And I mean Islam, if it's anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, none of this should be accepted. And we need to send a very strong message to these campuses that this can't go on, and this, whatever these presidents said, shouldn't be accepted.
I mean, obviously, incidents of anti-Semitism in the U.S. have been widespread, not just at these three universities. How do you want to see it addressed on a national level?
Well, as someone who went to one of these schools and who is on the Intelligence Committee and seeing not just what's going on here, but around the world in terms of the surge of anti-Semitism, which has reached all-time highs. And what do I think? I think as a country, we need to make sure we stand up to hate in all its forms. A lot of it is about education and teaching. I believe that TikTok is right now in the disinformation, is causing huge destruction to the truth in our country. I think we have to make sure that we get the facts out, and that we teach that hate is unacceptable in all forms. And the most important place to teach that, of course, is at our college campuses and our schools.
Congressman Josh Gottheimer, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.